share with us the toughest lessons that you have learned in your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I learned that there is a real difference between being self-employed, between an entrepreneur, and being an actual business owner.
Share with us some of the biggest misconceptions people have about starting an e-commerce business today.
Yeah. Well, it's not how to make money with Amazon. It's how to start a business with the first channel called Amazon. So that
Mhm.
when you establish and incubate that brand into revenues and hopefully profitability, if you're doing it the right way, because profitability is a very important part. And I don't mean like $5 in net profit. I mean like $10 to $150 in net profit per unit, where you can really grow and go and scale. A lot of people are talking about products that are, $20 to $30 in nature. I talk about products that are $50 to $500 in nature because there's really no difference in selling a $20 product and selling a $99 product. It's in your mind. It's not in the marketplace.
And Neil, you also talk about this almost automated income. So, what does that mean in practice, and how can someone really get to automation?
Systems, AI, tool set, stuff that was pre-AI gave us opportunities to automate both the delivery of the customer, sale of the customer, and support of the customer. But with these systems of information now becoming faster and faster and better at defining audiences, audience intersects, recent updates with AI, and that kind of stuff, what you're going to determine is if you have a great product with a good offer, those systems are going to sell it for you now.
So, folks, you have tuned into TGV, and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording. And we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Navin Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. So, folks, we are joined by Neil Twa. He is an e-commerce pioneer and Amazon FBA strategist. For those of you who are not aware of what FBA stands for, it is fulfilled by Amazon. He is also best-selling author of Almost Automated Income with FBA, and with over 15 years of experience, he has built multiple eight-figure brands and coached more than 1,000 entrepreneurs to achieve financial freedom. And Neil's mission is to help people create income, flexibility, and most importantly, security through smart, scalable business models that work even when you are not. Sounds interesting, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
first of all, Neil, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, sir. As I say, too blessed to be stressed. And I'm honored to be here and appreciate you hosting me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Blessed to be stressed. I loved it. And great to have you here as well. And Neil, first things first, why should somebody tune into our podcast episode and spend their valuable time with us today?
Yep. If you've ever thought about e-commerce, if you've ever wondered if you can turn it into a lifestyle-driven business, and you've ever wondered what the heck should I even sell, those are some of the things I hope we can answer on today's podcast.
Superb. So, folks, today we are going to dive into a conversation on the topic at hand: almost automated income, building wealth the smart way, Neil Twa's way, I would say. And before we get started, here is an exciting twist. As always, let us tickle our guest's brain first. So, Neil, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'm going to mention a few words, and I would love to hear the response that comes to your mind without thinking much. And if you're ready, let's get started.
Okay.
All right. So, my first word is curiosity.
Curiosity, yeah. First thing I think of is kill the cat, which I think a lot of people probably did. And since we have a lot of cats out here, we live on a homestead, they tend to die pretty often because they get curious and wander off in the woods. Not the words you were thinking. I was curiosity in life, curiosity in business. Curiosity is a term that hopefully some people have today as we're listening to this.
True. And here comes the next word is invention.
Invention, I would go with innovation over invention. I've been an inventor. It led to problems. I ended up going bankrupt trying to get an invention into the market. So I've turned to innovation, and there's a huge amount of opportunity in innovation.
Got it. Future.
The future is whatever it will be. We're not promised tomorrow, so I don't really worry about the future. I kind of let it take care of itself. And right now, I'm just living with you in the present.
Universe.
Big, expansive, I think of God. I think of things that are unknown and things we would like to know and things we're curious about. And one day I think we'll all find out.
Leadership.
Leadership earned. It's an earned trait. It's of a heart of gratitude. It's a servant leadership. I would tag servant leadership on front of that. Leaders
Mhm.
don't usually lead if they can't disciple other people.
Yeah. And then success.
Mindset. It starts with
I
that.
mean, yeah,
Yep. Starts with your
good
mind
one.
first. You can think successfully, you can be successful. If you get that in reverse, the
Yeah,
success will not attribute to a successful mindset.
loved it. And then Amazon.
Opportunity, challenges, frustrations, but opportunity for sure.
Entrepreneur.
The stepping stone to a true business owner.
Amazing. And here comes the last one, business.
Anything you make it. Business is creativity. Business is flow. Business does not have hard and fast rules. Business is, unlimited in its innovation and opportunity and the expanse of the universe.
Amazing. I love all the insights that you have shared. And thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round. There is
Right
one
on.
more rapid fire round towards the end of the episode. So, Neil, thanks once again
Cool.
for being part of our journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. So, let's get into the mainstream conversation. Please talk to
Okay.
us about who is your guiding voice.
My guiding voice, is for my faith. It's what I call my 5 Fs. In time, I have learned in 18 years of business and 49 years of life to have a particular principles that I hold myself accountable to. Not everybody does, but I do. The first one is my faith that leads all things that I do. I never would have got out of the rowboat, left my corporate job, and did what I did in both the faith of getting out and the continued faith and belief that it would turn into something positive for myself and my family and others. So with that, friends and family become a huge component of those 5 Fs because you will find at times your family is closer than your friends, and other times your friends are closer than your family. You're going to need both. If you don't have them, figure out which one you could get, and be very careful with who you choose. That's the second rule of my girls' 5 rules for life, and the second one is who you marry is the most important decision you'll ever make in your life. So choose wisely. The other one is finances, the fourth. Okay, finances is fourth, not first, because it
Mhm.
ties to my world to profit, and profit is not something that's just financial. Although our NLP programming takes us right to financial when people hear the word profit, there's profit in this relationship this morning. There's profit in knowledge. There's profit in building and networking. There's profit in many things that could lead to finances if we don't get our equation backwards. So purpose and value equal profits. If you try to go for profits, you'll lose your purpose and value and crash. That's why freedom is the last one. Freedom is
Mhm.
the pillar by which all of them are on. Freedom of choice, freedom of religion, freedom of consequences. No, because consequences can be anybody's opportunity from what you say to what you do can have consequences, even though you have the freedom to do it. We are all free men under our constitutional law in the United States. We just don't act like it anymore. And I think people need to remember you are free to make any choices. You're not free of the consequences, but if you're going to leave your job, you're free to make that choice. If you're going to leave your family, of course, you're free to make that choice too. They all have consequences. If you're going to start a business, you're welcome and free to do that. Just remember, freedom doesn't come with guarantees.
5 Fs actually. So, faith, family, friends, finances, and freedom.
I'd even
Amazing.
throw a bonus in there, fitness. A bonus sixth one would be fitness. Fitness leads to mindset. Mindset
Yeah.
leads to success. People who are challenged and work on their fitness and their health and wellness can see the rest of those things come into fruition. If you don't work on that, you may never see any of that come.
Yeah. And Neil, during the first rapid fire round, you mentioned success is mindset. So share with us what actually contributed, means the 3 factors that contributed to your success so far.
The first one is control the controllables. In a successful mindset, you realize the things you can control and the things you cannot. You don't lament over the things you cannot control or the future outcomes you believe are going to happen because you want them to. And you set a certain path and direction that forces that to occur. You're going to find that your inability to be flexible and to be agile will ultimately hurt your not only your mindset but your success and your opportunity. So a successful mindset starts with somebody who understands perseverance, tenacity, the longevity of any activity that will ultimately lead to success the longer you do it. So just borrowing from the E-Myth book, do anything that no one else is willing to do for 3 to 5 years so you can live like no one else can after that. So I would challenge everyone to start thinking not for the future of 3 to 5 years, but the path of the present that leads you every 3 feet up that Everest so that you will look back every year and realize it's been 3 to 5 years and you've accomplished the goals. You may have changed some of them. You may have adapted location or person or whatever, but the success mindset sets a path. And every day we go to that path. And here's how it could look like. My wife asked me, how's my day? I said, I just moved the ball down the court today. Every day I'm moving the ball down the court. If something good happens today, it was meant to happen today. If it happens tomorrow, so be it. But every day I'm going to move that ball down the court and things will happen. I will be agile. So your success mindset really starts with you being a person who believes that in their core, even if they're working a job and maybe want to start a business, or you're in a business and you're like, man, should I keep going? Should I stop? A lot of people ask those questions. And what they're really asking is something called the sunk cost fallacy. They may not understand what they're asking, but they need to understand it's the final rule, really, is the understanding of any effort, time, or energy or money you put into something. If it is not serving you, you need to stop doing it. And that is a really hard lesson, but a successful mindset understands you must stop doing that. I'm not saying burn the bridges. I'm saying you might need to burn the boats on that one. Okay. Which means that you've ever heard that phrase from the Vikings, burn the boats, you're never going back. So then when they land on the coast, they'd burn all the boats because when they were going forward, they were never going back.
Yeah.
You have to get into that pattern of realization that those who have become successful do it over a long period of time and find their opportunity in that time. I've been at this for 18 years on my own. So I really still think there's a lot of areas I need to grow and gain knowledge in and gain wisdom in from other people as I go through this process, because I still feel like I have a lot to learn.
Right. Got it. And also share with us the toughest lessons that you have learned in your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, I learned that there is a real difference between being self-employed, between an entrepreneur, and being an actual business owner. And I think Robert Kiyosaki and his quadrants got that right. I think that I didn't understand that early on in my walk when I was in the corporate world, playing a little side hustle game, but not really considering it a real business, not treating it like a real business. I treated it like a side hustle, hoping that it might magically one day become a real business, when in actuality, my mindset was not in the place that would allow that to happen. I was limiting that opportunity through a scarcity mindset that I didn't even acknowledge existed, or I wasn't even sure how to identify it. My mentor, who was my uncle, told me a lot of things that I didn't even fully understand at that point. They kind of almost went in one ear and out the other, but actually they kind of went in and stayed jumbling around in my head. And they've been in my head ever since he died, because I haven't had that opportunity since 2005 to have those additional conversations with him. But I still hear his voice echoing in my head, the things he taught me and the things I learned and the way he spoke and the way he acted towards others. And that really stuck with me and was eventually a catalyst for me leaving my job in 2007, a couple of years later, because it rattled in my head until I could no longer ignore that I needed to stop treating the idea of business as a side hustle or a hobby business. I needed to treat it like a real business, real effort, real time, real energy, real attention, real money. Got to get in the game, right? And so I, burned my boats and went forward. So hopefully I'm answering your question in the way you intended it to be answered, but really, it was a matter of understanding that I had to build that mindset of success first in order to go out and then stick with it, right? Be consistent, show up, apply the principles, and really work through the process of getting past self-employed, discovering through my entrepreneurial activities, which I would learn how to become who I am through my business, my marketing, my person, my overall, rainmaker kind of mentalities I have that fits who I am, and is not to be disregarded by other people who don't get it, because that's their loss, not mine. And then to shape myself into a business model that actually allowed me to fulfill my lifestyle design, my goals, my family goals, my wealth preservation, wealth growing roles, which was e-commerce, which I eventually landed on in 2012 to combine, entrepreneurial activities with actual real business and physical products, private label, in that instance, and a real P&L that needed to be ran like a business. And that's when I actually turned into a business owner.
Excellent. And can you share a defining moment from your entrepreneurial journey that shaped your philosophy of almost automated
Yeah.
income? Yeah.
Yep. So two things. One, when you put too much in one basket, when you are not paying attention to the sunk cost fallacy and you have to learn it to live it and to understand it, you have to gain the experience to get the wisdom, as opposed to just hearing me tell you today. You actually have to go out and do it yourself, like some of us who are really stubborn and pig-headed. I had to crash a business into the ground and requiring me to do a business bankruptcy and reset my life and really rethink the way I was thinking about money and finances and what I was doing. I had to go through that because I'm a tough learning person. I'm a school of hard knocks guy. Take it for what it's worth. I dropped out of college to go be on the internet and learn how to do business. And I was public school educated. So take this with a grain of salt. But the long story of it is that when I got to the realization that there are systems in place that don't require me to keep pushing, that don't require me to keep forcibly making some things happen, but when I work in tune with them, when I understand what they want and I'm willing to give them what they want so I can get what I want, then these systems will reward you. And one of the first places I landed was in Amazon because it was a system, an economic engine that was rewarding people who provided a product into a market that had, at that point, 50 million customers that became 100 million, that's now 200 million. So when I played in that market, I then started to look and realize, okay, I serve the market. The market is got this economic engine. It runs 24/7. I can serve the market through brand and product and building good mechanisms by which people get product that they really love, and the market will reward me by bringing me more sales, and became more of a a symbiotic relationship. So what it did, because they built this huge infrastructure called Amazon FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. It's actually a
Yeah.
separate corporation. It's a logistics company with planes, trains, and automobiles, right? We know it when we order stuff and it shows up at our door. Not a lot of people understand the intricacies of it as a seller, somebody who produces something and puts it in that system. But when I did, I realized, well, that whole thing is automated. Like when I put my products in there and that system goes, it's doing its job to get in front of those people, ship those products, return those products. I'm like, oh boy, the light bulb went off. So I just need to focus on what I sell to that system. I market, I brand, and I develop a competitive brand in the market of value, of product driven value. And I let that system do what it's going to do. And it creates that almost automated income because it's delivering, selling, delivering, returning, selling, refunding, delivering. It's doing that whole engine without me. And when that kind of kicked off, that's when I hit my first seven-figure brand in 2015 because I suddenly passed 1 million in sales. The whole world sort of opened up to, oh my gosh, there are so many products, I can't do them all in a lifetime. The light bulbs went off and the opportunity just looked most infinite, really, in its opportunity. And so we had to focus down into systems and processes at that point in order to start repeating it. So they almost automated in that channel can now go to Shopify, TikTok, and other locations by which Amazon's logistics company now produces that automation for other marketing channels we have. So we can go to these different channels without having to stand up a warehouse or hire more people. The
Mhm.
economies of scale of that infrastructure now allow multi-seven, 8, and 9-figure companies with
Got it.
1 to 4 man operations.
Mhm. Mhm. Got it. And you have coached many people on this how to make money through Amazon FBA. So share with us some of the biggest misconceptions people have about starting an e-commerce business today.
Yeah. Well, it's not how to make money with Amazon, it's how to start a business with the first channel called Amazon. So that
Hmm.
when you establish and incubate that brand into revenues and hopefully profitability, if you're doing it the right way, because profitability is a very important part. And I don't mean like $5 in net profit. I mean like $10 to $150 in net profit per unit, where you can really grow and go and scale. A lot of people are talking about products that are, $20 to $30 in nature. I talk about products that are $50 to $500 in nature because there's really no difference in selling a $20 product than selling a $99 product. It's in your mind.
Hmm.
It's not in the marketplace. That's your limiting scarcity belief system. I sell a $389 product 10 to 20 times a day right
Hmm.
now, and that's just one of the products we have. So the idea of limiting scarcity belief system or that there's not enough sales or whatever is a myth of the Amazon channel. But we also need to recognize that the Amazon channel is a sales channel, not a business. It is not a make money business. It needs to be seen as an e-commerce operation in which you're putting money, opportunity, and growth for the proof of concept that your brand, even if it gets to 6 or 7 figures, is still in its infancy stage of growth. And now it's time for you to look at other channels of operations, Shopify, TikTok, Walmart, Target Plus, whatever, even maybe retail, to expand yourself into a holistic, full brand, okay, that becomes a real corporation, if you will, that has a real product and service opportunity. You do that correctly, and you can do a lot of business. I was reading a thing about Kathy Ireland, the model earlier, whose whole kind of thing fell apart when she got a little older, and the modeling situation at like 39 was like, well, we don't need you anymore. And her main sponsor was Kmart. Well, Kmart went bankrupt, and that was her only sponsor. So she went out and created the Kathy Ireland line of products. And fast forward, like as of 2015, last I saw, she was making like 420 million a year, and her brands were like $1.5 billion a year in sales. So she took that thing to the max, right? Because she took and moved products into the marketplace. That's just one example. I have a plenty of my own in my own brands as well as my clients of doing very successful opportunities. But creating a saleable asset is really the end of that. The final part of that is creating what we call the platinum principle. I build every brand with the intent to sell. So I'm going to omni-channel every brand beyond Amazon, okay, which again is an incubator of products and defined brand, sales, adoption, marketing, assets, marketplace penetration. And I'm going to move it into multiple sales channels to increase its profitability, but also its saleable asset base. Okay. It's a saleable business. So in 3 to 5 years, up to 7 years, that business can create generational wealth with multiple channel opportunities. You can create a liquidity event from a private equity or a private buyer or a corporation or whatever that can basically give you a generational wealth opportunity. So we build everything with the end in mind. Very important. All of it is meant to come to an exit. And when it gets to that point, guess who's interested in buying it? So every client that I work with is building the foundation of the business up to an exit so that we can look at acquiring that business away from them.
Right. Got it. And moving to the next one, many people are afraid of taking the first step into
Sure.
entrepreneurial journey. How can someone overcome the fear of starting?
Expect that your first activity is a failure. Expect that your
Mhm.
first 10 activities or attempts at it will fail. Expect that you will fail forward through one or more of those failed attempts to see what your experience tells you about which one will actually start to serve you. Back to the sunk cost fallacy. If you attempt one thing and it doesn't work, that's like going to Vegas and putting $100,000 all on black, right? That's a stupid thing to do. What would be a better thing? The better thing to do is to do the law of averages, which says I'm going to try 5 products in the marketplace. I know that one of them will potentially fail because I didn't get it right. The market time wasn't right. I didn't sell it correctly. The system didn't want it from me, and I totally misjudged what it would do, and it's not going to be successful. But what you'll see is the other 4, 1 or 2 of them will rise to the top, and the other 2 will do okay, but they'll need optimizations. They'll need your effort to get them tweaked a little and dialed in on the marketing side. And then 1 or 2 of those products will start your entire brand opportunity. And with 1 or 2 of those products starting to rise up, and the 3 and 4 are starting to sell and get better, you're going to find exactly where to put your energy, attention, and money into growing that into not just greater revenue, but greater profitability of the revenue you're generating. And you'll know where to put your time and capital. Okay. If you just do a 1-to-1 shot, you're going to lose. You're going to have to take at least a 5-shot attempt at a product base to find those 1 or 2. Now, here's the beauty.
Yeah.
When you find 1 or 2 of those products, they usually have between 10 to 100 different variations. And you borrow from retail, you borrow from Nike and Apple and other companies. When they get one product that starts to sell really well, they give you a whole line of variations of that product to go on and on and on. And then eventually they launch additional products. Apple launched AirPods. When they launched the AirPods, those became their
Yeah.
best selling product. So people need to realize that to start this process, you're going to fail forward in your learning activity until you understand how it works. Do not come with the idea you're going to hit a home run at the first time at bat. You're going to persevere through tenacity and failing forward until you find your winners. And some of you will take longer than others. So stop comparing yourself on social
Yeah.
media to somebody's
Mhm.
apparent overnight success for 7 figures when some of us have gotten to success, overnight in 18 years. You have to start
Yes.
looking at things in real terms, right? Real change, real term takes years. So I want people to really understand that about today, because that is not me preaching hopium guru lottery mindset, scratch and sniff mentality that all these YouTube hoping course dealers are doing to everybody.
Yeah. No, no, that's a good one. It takes effort and time, most importantly, right, to gain real success. Even I believe in that very strongly. So thanks for highlighting that. And Neil, you also talk about this almost automated income. So what does that mean in practice, and how can someone really get to automation?
Systems, AI, tool set, stuff that was pre AI gave us opportunities to automate both the delivery of the customer, sale of the customer, and support of the customer. But with these systems of information now becoming faster and better at defining audiences, audience intersects, recent updates with AI, and that kind of stuff, what you're going to determine is if you have a great product with a good offer, those systems are going to sell it for you now. Okay. With Facebook's recent Andromeda update, it is all about wide open targeting and letting your creatives define the audience intersect using the new algorithms out there. So the more creatives you put into an ad set, the higher likelihood it is 1 or 2 of them is going to pop off. So no more putting like one ad set with 1 or 2 creatives. It's like one ad set with 10, 20, 30 creatives. And you let Andromeda determine out of all those creatives which ones are the top ones. Very similar to what we just talked about on Amazon. right? On the other side of the house, Amazon's Cosmo engine and TikTok's ranking engines and these kinds of ones are now attuned so much to all the data they have that even TikTok is now only letting you send shop ads through Max GMV
Mm-hmm.
GMV Max. With that, you now have no targeting options. You have
Mm-hmm.
put all your creatives into their analytic engine and let it do the job of figuring out which audience intersects best with your product. Amazon's doing the same thing with something called Cosmo. So what we have to understand with each of these engines is what they're doing and how we sell data to them. When we do that, we create systems of automation through our marketing in which, when tied in correctly, they're doing the marketing for us. So, what ends up happening with tracking it in our world and tracking and inventory and PPC management is it becomes a blinky light dashboard of automation, monitoring tools and data sets, not physically moving products, not even going out and trying to say, oh, I need to change this audience. I need to dial in this keyword. I need to figure out. No, the engine is doing all of that now. It's probably the easiest time since 2013 to ever get involved in these online systems. It's a crazy wild west right now of opportunity as people figure out and this gets dialed in. So the
Mm-hmm.
almost automated comes down to where you apply your time and energy and how these systems can force multiply all of your efforts out greater and
Yeah.
greater to do marketing that would have taken 10 people, 5, 6 years ago can be done with one person in an AI engine. We're going to see the rise of billion-dollar companies that have less than 5 employees as a almost standard operation policy. And if for a
Mm-hmm.
fact, this last part of this automation has to do with what the systems are doing, but who's doing it. We have operators now that operate those accounts for me. The operators were somebody I trained 2, 3, 5, even 10 years in the process of becoming great business people who build and become CEOs of these companies. And then I profit share with them in my companies to come run them. So they are heads down consummate operators. And then I say, here's a profit share in this company. Would you run it with me? And they're like, absolutely. And then they come run the company. So my, almost automated income is supporting them and whatever activities they need because they're in the trenches working. And I've moved myself out of the trenches and into the management side. And I have four of
Yeah.
those operators now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can do the same thing. I teach my clients how to do the same thing through these
Right.
systems, automation, and processes of training the right people. You pull yourself back until you're just, one business, and I have 10, now 11 of them, take me about 2 to 4 hours a week of oversight for each business, and that's it. The rest of the work is being done by the teams and contractors of automation and systems that are behind me. So that is the world we
Right.
live in now. If you can get a hold of that concept, okay, and start working the process, you're going to see tremendous opportunities. And for a lot of you who understand and hear me, your jobs are going to get replaced at all different levels. You need a product or a service that allows you to serve the market outside of your job, outside of the corporations, or you're going to find yourself in about 3 to 5 years in a place where you're not only unhireable, but you have no product or service, and you didn't take the last 3 to 5 years to get it in line. And the rest of the world is running ahead of you.
Right. Got it. And what are the key pillars of a successful FBA business that new entrepreneurs often overlook?
Yep. So the starting block of any great business is making sure that you maintain a certain profitability of each product that then rolls up to the brand. Of course, that rolls to the P&L of the company. We want a target minimum of 20% minimum net profit in the businesses or a path to get to that in the first 1 to 3 years of launching that business. Okay. We want to take businesses that we might acquire, and if they are down to 15 to 18, we want to get through a process of either inventory churn and capitalization of inventory churn to move more product profitably to get them to 18, 19%, to build efficiencies in to get them up to 20%, to bring more automations to them to get to that point. So when people are starting a company, here's some of the criteria at the product level. Okay. And keep in mind, brands live forever, products have a life cycle. I think a lot of people get that in reverse. They think the product I'm going to sell is the one I'll keep selling for the next 5, 7, 10 years. And that's naive. We want to get off of that. It's a myth. Each product is capable of having a life cycle. It's just going to be determined by the market and the product innovation as to how long that life cycle for that product lives. Some may go 5, some may go 2 years, some may go 7 years. So as we continue to build a process of product launching into that, if you maintain a product retail price of a minimum of $50 to $500 in retail price point, you're going to maintain a net profit minimum of at least $12 or greater. So I won't let my clients sell a product that is less than $12 in net profit. I prefer they sell products that are $20 to $50 to $75 in net profit. And those are the product types that we target. That moves us out of what I call the Chinese mosh pit of the CCCP products that everybody falls into in the Amazon world to get started and we elevate that opportunity cost, it's a bigger burden a little to get into that place, but that is the opportunity of becoming a professional seller online now for e-commerce. And in Amazon, it's just a great way to get the profitability, pay for the fees, and get things going, and also see the upside potential of having the marketing dollars, the collateral necessary to move the business forward faster, and money to pay yourself. Very important, because you cannot do that anymore on a sub $20 product. We say friends don't let friends sell $20 products on Amazon unless they are getting it for like 50 cents. Okay. If you're sourcing it for 50 cents, be careful, because you might be in a situation where you're competing with Chinese manufacturers and stuff, and there's no value in the Me Too product that you're creating. So innovation of that product is critical. But here's the last key for that. People must launch a product that has an innovation path forward so that they can continue to innovate that product through any changes in the market to stay above that mosh pit of consumeristic, manufacturing that everybody falls into if they're not careful, and to give yourself the upside potential of growing that brand into 20% net profit. That means for every million you make in the business, you keep a net 200,000 minimum after all
Hmm.
sales, cost of goods, retail, Amazon fees, etc. For every million you make a minimum $200,000 in net profit. Okay. Could that be more? Absolutely. If you hit 25%, such and such. So it's the most powerful metric is maintaining the numbers, and the numbers need to maintain the profitability or don't launch the product.
Right. Right. And you have helped over 1,000 people build thriving businesses. So share with us what separates the successful ones from those who give up too early.
Yeah. So every person I work with is vetted. I've worked with about 300 people since 2019. It's not a lot. We do a one-on-one mentoring and discipling because the success level is greater when people have more of a direct accountability somewhere. Now, I don't take ownership in their company, but I take a direct accountability in them getting to success, because if they become successful by their measure, their work and their effort and money, because I'm not in it, I'm making sure they get successful by giving them the entire roadmap. It's like me being the Sherpa for their Everest. I'm giving them the right pack, the right equipment. I'm telling them what to do and where to walk, and I'm telling them what to go. But could they fall off the path? Could they breathe too much oxygen? Could they get their ropes wrong? Yes, because they're hiking on their own. But the goal is to get as many people to the top as successful, because those are the ones I want to acquire. So my failure in my business model is to not do everything possible to help those people up to their Everest in 3 to 5 years so that they have a business that I can acquire. Otherwise, I fail. And I don't want anybody to die along the way, of course, right? But I also know that I can't save everybody along the way. So I vet every person for the principles that they may not even understand that they have yet in that success mindset. I start by vetting them to see if they're capable of it. Okay. If they're currently a B player in my mind, based on their current situation, business, job, life, whatever, could they become an A player? And I do my best to vet those folks to give them the greatest opportunity possible of success. Because as we say in the country out here, I can lead all those horses to water, but I can't make all of them drink.
Yep.
So I'm always looking for those who have the perseverance, the tenacity, the drive and desire to do it without me. They just see getting in the boat with me and getting away from their heaven island or hell island is going to get them faster to their heaven island. And we're going to help row there together, because we both win when we do, which means it can't be for everybody. That's basically what I'm saying, because not everybody extols the values or willingness to gain the values of a success mindset. And I'm not a life coach. I'm
Right.
a business operator with a business goal. When these people get involved, they have a business outcome that we're shooting for. So you can set your emotions at the door and we can get to work and build that perseverance and tenacity along the way in the successful framework that I've created that's allowed a lot of people to do a lot of things. Okay. I have a guy just now at his 1 year anniversary. We have helped him by taking over some operations in his company because he ran into some trouble. And so we're like, let us handle it. We're at 1 year. He just passed $425,000 in profitable sales in his first year in business. He's set up to do an amazing thing. I had another one come in about 5 years ago. He just got an offer for $29 million on his company. Okay. I've had another guy come through and we got him to $5 million a month in 8 months. He sold his business and cleared out $72 million in 2022. The opportunities I'm talking about are a different opportunity cost than a lot of people are hearing right now. There's no
Mhm.
courses, there's no 2000 this. If you're going to come to the table, you're typically going to capitalize 50 to 100K in year one to get to the opportunity that creates a 5 year business, a 5 year life changing business. It does not happen free. It does not happen overnight. It happens with perseverance and tenacity. So the people that I've trained over the years, the most successful ones, have understood that, and they have earned their success in the battles they fought. They have overcome any challenges of personal or professional challenges to make that happen. And both of those guys that I just mentioned, all three of them actually never sold e-commerce before. They understood business to a degree. They just didn't understand the mechanisms of e-commerce business, and that's what we helped them stand. So when they got to the top of their Everest, they weren't running out of oxygen. They got their packs right. They had followed the process and walked on the 3-foot path every 3 feet, and they became successful. On the con side, I've had people fail. I've had like 40% or more of the people fail. Why did they fail? I gave them the same thing I gave everybody else. They just decided to either breathe too much oxygen, get off the trail and go a different direction, turn around and go back because they thought it was too dangerous, and they simply just didn't make it to their Everest. But I'm still here, same as the other people who got successful. So I can't help every person who won't help themselves. So I'm very limited in who I offer the opportunity to, because I don't want those failures on my hands. I want people to get the success they desire, and I want the success because I win too.
Yeah, got it. And also share with us, how does a typical day look like for someone running a well-structured FBA business?
2 to 3 hours a day of management is all is required.
Wow.
It'll take anywhere, above that if you need to learn or execute or experience other things. That question gets down to the reverse of the question, which is how long
Right.
is a piece of string, Navi?
Yeah.
It's whatever length I cut it. In other words, whatever time frame it takes, whatever it takes for me to be successful, I cannot compare others 3 to 5 hours with my 7 to 10 hours. What it means is that all people have an opportunity to learn how to time manage correctly by changing the way they say, the way they think, and the way they act, especially about time, because this is sort of a time-based question, right?
Yeah.
What we say around here and in my house has been trained into my daughters. It's not that you don't have time. It's that you're not making it a priority.
Right.
So you can stop telling people, I don't have time to do that. I'm so busy. I don't have time right now. And what you actually need to start saying is that's not a priority. And there are certain boundaries we have to be careful not to cross as husbands and fathers and mothers and ladies and gentlemen who are out there doing this business in whatever capacity. For example, for those families who do have children, if we're continually telling them, I don't have time right now, what you're actually saying in their ears is you're not a priority. Could you actually look at that child right in their face and just say, you're not a priority right now? No, because you're not a cruel, heartless person. So we placate these things and we start to use them as platitudes to deal with issues when in actuality, simply what we're saying is you're not a priority. If that's your concern and you want to change that, the business that you can learn to do in 2 to 3 to 5 hours a day of work is a business that no longer requires you to do those kinds of things. You can flex and you can be creative. I homeschool my daughters with my wife. We build our life and homestead out here on our 50 acres. I have built into a lifestyle design that the business now empowers my life because it's the way that I eventually wanted it to become. And in time, over 18 years, that's where I got to. I've gotten others there faster than 18 years, but it took me a lot longer to get there because I'm a stubborn, pig-headed guy who does things wrong sometimes. But the end result is, you will put whatever time is required into the success, knowing that it can be a life-changing opportunity the longer you stay in it, and it can achieve your goals. You're just going to have to be willing to cut the string at whatever length is required.
Right. Got it. Well, this has been an incredible conversation so far, and it's time for us to add some more spice and excitement to the episode. So if you're ready, let's get started with the second rapid fire round.
Let's do it.
Okay, here comes my first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
It would say, get married, have lots of kids, follow Christ, and be free with me.
Interesting. Can you describe yourself in just one word?
Stubborn.
And what's one money lesson you wish you had learned earlier in your career?
Invest more, spend less.
Mm-hmm. And what daily habits have helped you maintain consistency and focus on your career?
I maintain my macros every day very closely, and I walk with my wife at least 4 miles every day, if at all possible, together to have time in relationship with her. And then just to get the fitness out of it. So early in the morning, we get up and walk our 4 miles down our dirt road and We keep pretty busy with that every day. That's good clarity of mind and just activity and just stress relief and a coping mechanism and just time with my wife.
Yeah, yeah. Good one. And here comes the last one for the second rapid fire. What is
Okay.
one electronic gadget or a fantasy gadget that you'd like to see or invent yourself?
Oh wow, that's a big question. You're gonna put me on the spot. I actually don't have one in mind. I
Hmm.
I I had something invented in the power space a long time ago, and it's so much since has changed. I think, um, wow, dude, I don't have an answer off the cuff of my head. It
No
should be
worries at all.
something I can just yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to, like, get back to you on That's a
No
great I've not
problem.
been stumped very often on a call before. That well done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well done.
No,
Yeah,
fair
I
enough.
have something in my head, it's just not coming out yet.
That's okay. So let's flip back to the mainstream. So if someone wants to future proof their income and career,
Yeah.
what is the smartest move they can make today?
In today's world, if
Yeah.
you are not learning some component of how to apply AI to your future business, or opportunities to improve yourself for your in the workforce, you're going to get disrupted by it. So in our world, it's to make sure that it's used in optimizations or force multipliers of certain roles or activities within our operating group, within the kind of products we choose, even the research we choose, and the data and analytics is now being powered by that through large language models, even down to the videos and ad campaigns we're running that are using AI now to kind of optimize those efficiencies. Really, where we are now, if I were to go back in time and say how to deal with the internet, it would be, get online and figure out ways that the internet can produce leads and generation and opportunity for your business. You need to do that, get ahead of it. I'm saying today you need to figure out to apply that, not necessarily to your personal life, but your opportunity to produce a product or service that can benefit your family in the way you can do it, either through work or a job or business of some kind. Get out there and figure it out, man. You're going to be behind the eight ball. It's moving so fast.
Yeah. Wonderful. And I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and the insights are really, really amazing. And how is your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice podcast?
Good. That was wonderful. Yeah, great question. Well, that's a stumper. I still gonna have to think about that one. I have a lot of ideas. It's just nothing was coming up to the top of the surface at that moment. Um, yeah, lots of
No,
ideas.
all right. No worries at all. And thank you once again for being part of our journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. So, looking forward to hosting you again in future. So,
Wonderful.
all right. So, friends, that was our episode with Neil Twa. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. If you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least three of your friends or colleagues or family members who would also like the guiding voice. So, spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now it's time for us to cruise into the trivia segment. Having had amazing conversation with Neil Twa on Amazon FBA, I thought of presenting you few lesser known facts about Amazon FBA. So first one is about Amazon FBA origins. Did you know that Amazon FBA, again to repeat, fulfillment by Amazon, launched back in 2006, and it started as a small experiment but has now empowered over 2 million active sellers worldwide, turning garage ideas into global brands. And second one is the 80-20 rule in e-commerce. According to multiple studies, nearly 80% of e-commerce revenue comes from just 20% of sellers. And Neil's methods also aim to put the entrepreneurs in that winning 20% through systems, strategy, and self-discipline. So this is it from the trivia perspective. Likewise, if you have any interesting fact related to Amazon, or if you know anybody who has made more money with Amazon, do let us know about them. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you can comment there, or if you have found it on Spotify, you can comment there as well, or any social media platform where you have found the episode. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. So, until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember, the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.